Hello everyone, welcome back to Major Hi-Fi. I'm Luke. Today we have a new amplifier from Chord Electronics. This is the Anni. So the Anni runs for $17.95. It is definitely in the upper echelons of pricing, and that is not uncommon for Chord Electronics. They are definitely a top-of-the-line type of company. So this is a desktop amplifier that is meant to be used with headphones and loudspeakers, and it also can be integrated with the Q-Test range from Chord Electronics, including the Huey Phonostage and the Q-Test standalone DAC. So let's go on ahead and take this thing out of the box. All right, so first off, let's start with everything besides the amplifier, which is the cables. There's not much to see here. We have the power cable. It's two different pieces. It's pretty long. And then we have this power adapter for the Q-Test range that allows you to basically daisy chain the Anni into the other devices and not have to have so many different power cords going on. And then we also get this carrying case, this like drawstring bag to put it in. I wouldn't have minded a hard shell carrying case for the price, but it's not the end of the world. And then here is the amplifier itself. So it's quite small, as you can see. It's meant to be kind of a portable desktop device. It does not weigh very much. You could easily throw this in your backpack or your bag without adding much weight or taking up much space whatsoever. This thing is definitely very sturdy. It's one of these kind of built like a tank amplifiers. Wouldn't recommend, roughhousing with it, but it's got that nice metal casing going on. I do feel like it's a bit of a bare bones look, definitely a no frills kind of feel going on here, which isn't a bad thing. Though in these kind of like $1,000 plus amplifiers, I'm certainly not opposed to adding some kind of fancy detailing, maybe a cool paint job. I know maybe it's corny to some people, but I love a good shiny amplifier. It wouldn't hurt to make the outside a little bit more symbolic of the inside. On the front here, we have a 6.35 millimeter or 1/4 inch headphone output. Then we have a volume control knob that also doubles as a input selection button, and then we have a 3.5 millimeter headphone output. And then on the top here we have the gain mode selection button. We can do high or low gain mode, and next to it we've got the power button. On the back here we've got a 15 volt DC power input. We've got the ground terminal along with speaker outputs left over here and right over here, and then in the middle of these we have the line level inputs, and over here we have the DC power output. All right, so I've plugged this in just so you have a quick demonstration of the little functionality you really need to know about. But basically on the top here, this is the gain button. We can press this to switch between high and low gain. And then on the front here, we've got the volume knob, which we can press and the LED will change. And that LED corresponds to which input has been selected. And that's just about all the functionality you need to know about. The Anni is Chord Electronics' first integrated desktop amplifier. It is meant to drive both speakers and headphones, like I said, and it can also drive multiple pairs of headphones at the same time. This amplifier also uses Chord Electronics' Ultima circuit topology, which is meant to basically bring the best full potential out of your headphones. Of course, there's a lot of complicated technology behind that, but that is the end goal. It is not a groundbreaking concept in the world of amplifiers. That's basically the purpose of an amplifier. However, it can always be done better than it has in the past. And speaking of which, why don't we go on ahead and talk about how this amplifier sounds. Hey guys, Luke here. Just wanted to pop in and say that if you're enjoying this video, it would be great if you could subscribe and hit the bell to get notified when we make new content, and hit the like button and leave us a comment if you have any suggestions or questions or anything like that. I would love to talk to you guys more. We would really love some help growing the channel, and just want to make sure that we're reaching our audience and whatnot. So yeah, any support is greatly appreciated, and let's get back to the review. So I tested this out with a number of headphones, including the Dan Clark Audio Aeon Flow 2, the Focal Celesti, the Odyssey LCD2, among others. And power-wise, in terms of driving abilities of this amplifier, I had pretty high expectations, especially given it has two gain modes. It's a very luxurious amplifier, and based on my past experiences with Chord Electronics, I was expecting the ability to power basically whatever I threw at it, and I was not disappointed. This amplifier has a ton of power. I never really had to push the volume past the halfway point, even with harder to drive headphones like the Aeon. and I was able to use that high gain mode when I needed it, but I rarely even needed to use the high gain mode. I mostly stuck to the low gain mode and still kept the volume at a fairly moderate area. So if you want pure power and you want a lot of leeway with your volume, this definitely has you covered, and then some. It's going to offer you a ton of room to work with. So in terms of sound quality, I found that of the various sort of subtle improvements that the Anni made to sound, there were 3 that stuck out to me most, which were its effect on the soundstage width, the low-end handling, and the high-end timbre. When it came to soundstage width, especially on like closed backs that are, a bit more limited with their soundstage, the Anni was able to really open things up, inject some more air into the soundstage, really add to an enhanced sense of separation, gave a much more realistic, cleaned up soundstage that had a lot less stuffiness compared to how it sounded before. I did test this mostly with headphones that I already, enjoyed a lot, that I don't have major problems with, so I'm not saying that they sounded totally crowded and terrible before and this like resurrected them, but of course it was able to kind of bring a new level of engagement to the soundstage that might not have been there before. So I just found that the Anni was able to create a lighter, more balanced, a bit less chaotic soundstage on basically every headphone I used it with. This is of course great for bringing out a more immersive cinematic quality from headphones, especially those that already have a fair amount of width and depth to them in the first place. In terms of low-end handling, the Anni, I felt, did a good job of kind of controlling and taming things that might have been a bit too overzealous on the low end, or just taking low end that maybe wasn't overly intense but could use a bit more shaping and kind of tightening up and really adding that extra push to keep things in place and kind of coherent. So for example, on the LCD2, which is a headphone I love, but I do feel like can sometimes be a bit overbearing on the low end, especially the sub range, the Anni to me was able to kind of pull things back just a tad. It felt like it made the decay a bit more even, it made sure it wasn't trailing off for too long, and that it also just kind of cleaned things up and allowed the low end to convey more realism, to convey timbre with a bit more nuance than it might have been able to before, with it having a bit less kind of control over it, and just, once again, opening it up and giving me the opportunity to really examine what's going on down there in a way that might have been a little bit more obstructed before. In terms of what it did to the high-end timbre, I felt like the Anni kind of added some vintage warmth, but definitely did so with a lot of modern cleanliness, as I would like to see personally. I don't want too much vintage tonality added to the point that I'm getting kind of a old school saturation, just because I don't find that to be a very versatile sound. So for me, the Anni did a good job of keeping those peaks really crisp, but kind of rounding them off a little bit to level things out and make a bit of an easier on the ears listening experience. This especially helped with using the Focal Celesti or the Focal Stelia, which definitely can use a little bit more subtlety added to their brightness, which at times I find a bit harsh without a little bit of added kind of grooming going on. So it just felt like it provided a small but very effective dose of coloring to the high end that really does soften it and make it a more delicate and once again clear and realistic sound. Just a lot of headphones can really benefit from that slight elevation that takes them that extra mile and pushes them over that kind of edge into another realm of listening experience. So overall, I am very impressed with this amplifier. I did have pretty high expectations for it. Given the price, given the company, all those things, I was expecting this to be of good quality. And so I feel like it definitely met that expectation of having that professional, very hi-fi sound to it that you would want. It does clean up the sound, but it does so in a nuanced, articulate manner. It feels like it understands the concept of, conserving the general character of your headphone, of not overshadowing it, but simply building upon what's already there, which I always say is what a good amplifier should be able to do. It doesn't come there to reinvent the sound, but it's able to kind of extend upon what's being given to it and basically tighten things up and give us a little bit of extra flair. So for me, the Anni is just a good balance of warmth and cleanliness. It kind of has some added width and depth to it in addition, and really does just kind of rise to the challenge that's being presented as a $1,500 plus amplifier that is competing in a very competitive market right now. So check out the Anni if you're interested. I would definitely recommend it. I'm quite curious to hear other people's thoughts on it. Per usual, if you've used this amplifier, if you've used other Chord Electronics amplifiers or anything like that, leave a comment below. Let me know your own experiences, or just, let me know questions you might have about the Anni that I didn't answer in this video, anything like that, and I will get back to you. I will link below to my written article on this if you'd like to check that out. And I will also link below to where you can purchase this amplifier if you would like to. I will be back soon with some more videos and reviews, and until next time, happy listening.